What has there been and what's likely to come next? I spoke to Sergei Guriev from the Paris Institute of Political Studies. He explained how Russia's economy is still reeling despite a recovery for its currency.
The Russian economy is actually hit hard. If you look at the projections by IMF or the World Bank or by Russian government itself, you see that this year Russian economy will collapse by 8 to 10%. Some forecasts actually produce 11 or even 15% decline in Russian GDP in 2022. That will be the biggest recession in Russian history since early 1990s. Neither the meltdown of 1998 or the global financial crisis 2008-9 or 2014-15-16 were as painful as this particular impact of 2022. And in that sense, Russians will suffer, real incomes will go down, and the fact that ruble today is back to pre-war levels should not deceive the public that there is normality. First and foremost, ruble is no longer market-based currency. It's not a convertible currency. There are huge currency controls in place. And second, the strong ruble paradoxically reflects the sanctions that were imposed on exporting to Russia, either by governments or by the private sector. About 600 Western companies have exited Russia. So Russians cannot import American equipment, German equipment, Taiwanese technology, and therefore the demand for dollars is much smaller. But that also means that many Russian plants cannot operate. Russian automotive production went down by about a factor of 3. Russia cannot produce its planes. Russia cannot maintain imported planes such as Boeing and Airbus. And in that sense, we shouldn't be surprised that while ruble is back to pre-war levels, Russian economy is actually hit quite hard.
The EU has still been funneling billions of dollars into Russia through its oil purchases, but the US and the EU are in talks now to possibly include an outright ban on Russian oil. But there are concerns that a ban could actually see prices skyrocket and give the Kremlin even more revenue. How would that work, and what could the alternatives be to that?
That's exactly right. US has already introduced oil embargo against Russia, but US is a very minor buyer of Russian oil and gas. Europe buys majority of Russian oil and gas, and indeed, in the next few days, European leaders will again discuss oil and gas embargo or a tax on Russian oil and gas, where if oil prices and gas prices go up, Europe will actually seize a major part of the revenue and put it in an escrow account or right away spend on reconstruction of Ukraine. And so there are various options on the table, and that, of course, has to be coupled with measures to prevent circumventing the sanctions. So Europe is likely to introduce sanctions against transportation companies, insurance companies. So if Russia wants to move oil tankers somewhere else to non-Western countries, that will not be possible. So everybody understands how difficult these decisions are and understands that the West needs to move in a coordinated way and also be very strict against non-Western countries that want to help Russia to circumvent oil and gas embargo or oil and gas tariffs. This is crucially important because, indeed, as you rightly said, Russia keeps getting cash from the West at the very same time when it spends this cash for paying soldiers and officers for continuing killing Ukrainians.
Outside the White House, demonstrators